We're good? Okay. Okay, I think we're ready to go. To begin with, I'd like to recognize that we're meeting on the unceded traditional territories of the Comox First Nation. And this afternoon, we have no delegations. We have a management report for receipt.
Move receipt.
Move receipt.
Any questions, comments? No? Okay, moving on. We have in reports, we have the Glacier Kings Junior B team dressing room report. And
Move
it's quite-
receipt.
Thank you. Quite a
Second.
thorough report. And we have, Jennifer, are you going to speak to this today? Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Funny how dark it is when they're on. There must be all the light.
Through the chair. Oh, there we go. Through the chair. If I may request that the Glacier Kings staff report presentation be moved further down the agenda at this time, as the Glacier Kings have not arrived yet.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Anybody opposed to that? Okay, so we can move it to the bottom of the agenda. Okay, let's carry on then, and we'll go on with the COVID-19 response and renewal for receipt.
Receipt.
And are you going to speak to this, Jennifer? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
There we go. Through the chair, staff are here today to provide the Comox Valley Sports Commission with a COVID-19 response and renewal report for the Recreation Corps services. As we all know, the impacts of COVID-19 have resulted in a domino effect of closures. So our sports and aquatic center facilities have been closed since March 17th. This renewal plan considers specific operational and capital work modifications, and there's more detail for everyone in Appendix A, and an update on the current budget is also outlined in Appendix B. Under Recreation Renewal Plan, Lisa, you can go ahead and click them all if you like. As part of the Comox Valley Regional District CVRD Board's COVID-19 response and renewal framework, an assessment of the CVRD core services is being conducted, and it's going to be based on the 5 principles up on the screen: maintaining core services at an affordable cost, sustaining stable services in support of the local economy, adapting to changing community priorities, and realigning resources to support community renewal initiatives. And lastly, and certainly not least, communicating clearly about the actions.
Sorry, Chair. We're still seeing on Zoom the Glacier Kings presentation. I don't know if is there meant to be a different one on the screen?
Yes. Can you see the picture of the arena building?
I'm still seeing I think the Glacier Kings. I don't know if everybody else. There we go.
Okay, what are you seeing now, Director Hermier?
Okay, it says functional tasks highlights.
Okay, great.
So under the functional task highlights, the CVRD's renewal framework includes evaluating the services for fiscal efficiencies and assessing tasks and work plans. So on the actual staff report, Table 1 lists the necessary and critical tasks, which are those that must continue to be provided to the community in order that the recreation services are delivered. Under the functional task links, directly to the regional, the recreation strategic goals, which includes actions recommended to continue as planned. So first one on top left, we have asset management, continuing maintenance upgrades during the current shutdown that we're in. Number 2 to the top right is partnerships between jurisdictions, including the school districts and First Nations, support partnerships for capital improvement and First Nations programming, and supporting partnerships with clubs and community groups on service delivery, including the swim clubs, minor hockey, figure skating, and boys and girls clubs, and many more. Connectivity, finding walking connectivity, mapping signage, some things that we're doing at the visitor center, where to walk maps, active Comox Valley mapping systems for parks and trails. Number 4, the accessibility, focusing on income. Continue progress of the regional low income pass and promote active Comox Valley initiatives for low or no cost. So staff continue to work with the other municipalities, moving those forwards. And the last one, number 5, is the volunteer engagement, supporting community groups with their return to play plans, linking volunteer groups to provide support for various events and activities in our community, hosting annual volunteer fairs and volunteer recognition programs. So those are some of the big moving pieces that we have on the go right now, and they really come to light during this COVID-19 pandemic. Next slide, Lisa. So next up, we have the renewal actions that are described tasks that may be canceled or tangible to deliver renewed public services. So first up, we have on the top left, we have collaboration, and to the top right, we have the fiscal responsibility. So collaboration being a core value of the regional district, and fiscal responsibility being one of the strategic drivers for the regional district. They sort of come hand in hand, they're linked together to ensure that we're providing community partnerships and yet being fiscally responsible. So those two kind of hold hands and come up together. Recreation service departments will continue to work in collaboration with our partnering municipalities and stakeholders and the community to look at ways to address the loss of sales and service revenues. And this can include anything from seeking new and additional grants, working on sponsorships and partnerships, maybe partnership or sponsorship with Canadian Tire or any other larger organization. Getting financial support in this matter may be critical to the recreation's long-term viability as we move forwards. The second thing, recreation services should be moving towards a renewal or normal service level with a target date of 2021. Considerations must also be given to the state of the COVID-19 pandemic and the advice from the health agencies. So in particular with the pools, it is very uncertain. We really have to stay on top of what the health agencies are recommending that we do and how we move forwards. Due to the unknown circumstances, it is difficult at this time to provide a year-end estimate for expenditures in the 2020 for the function 645 and 649. Further unforeseen events and uncertainties may increase or reduce savings. Just a couple of examples of current reductions, in particularly in the personnel end of things, having the pools closed and the ice arenas closed since the middle of March to the date where we started with our summer camps. We will see a fairly significant savings or reduction of costs, in particular in the 647, which is the aquatic personnel area. Keeping in mind that staff were continued to be paid until April 20th as per the clause in the collective agreement at that time. We will also see a savings in hydro and heating and water costs for the obvious of not having water in the pool and not having ice in. Your costs are considerably lower. And then some additional changes in response to COVID-19 as an example. Under capital improvements, energy reduction improvements may be delayed until required, such as arena lights or any future further heat reclamation processes. Subsequent maintenance shutdowns may be shorter in duration, where we're getting a lot of work done right now and work that's been needed for a while and work that's potentially from the future are going to be needed in the future is getting knocked off now, which may put us in a position where our closures can be a lot shorter in duration in the coming years. Under the operations portion, service hours will be evaluated with respect to provincial health directives. So again, we can't say that that at this point, a facility is going to be open for X amount of hours. It really is going to come down to further direction from the provincial health officer and our local the Vancouver Island health authorities, as you know, in respects to what stage we're in, and being able to manage that stage when we do open. Staffing adjustments to meet new procedures and processes may increase costs, and the area that I will probably indicate again is it's the usual areas, the swimming pools, the aquatic staff costs could potentially increase if we open a pool, because you're going to need that many more people to stay on top of the high touch areas and ensuring people follow the proper flow using the facility, and just all those things that are going to come along with us being currently in the COVID-19 pandemic. Next slide, Lisa. And I think finally, but certainly not least, the renewal tasks that may be canceled and or systemic changes to deliver renewed public services. So number one, again, rec programs and service model will be reviewed to enhance revenues through data analysis. Completion of this analysis will support how future programming and service levels will be attained. And so some maybe simple examples are moving towards an 80% registration for programs and services and a 20% drop-in model. So you would go online for Perfect Minds, or you could phone in to the front desk and book your time spot, whether it's for links or for a rehab, or you know, in the future when we get to that point of a public swim or a public skate, you would do your registration, and that 20% drop-in might be that if a swim or a skate is not full, there's that potential for some drop-in that somebody could potentially come and drop in and pay at the front desk. We're still a few steps away from a lot of those possibilities, in particular with the pools, but that's one of the potentials. Lesson structures could become more of family groupings based. So you have 2 kids in a family, or 3 kids in a family, or you know, and maybe a mom or a dad or somebody wants to learn. It becomes a group lesson, so that you're within that same bubble when you come into the facility, versus different families being mixed together in a lesson. And private lessons, you know, that may become much more of a popular item moving forwards. You know, people are going to be very careful when they bring their families or their kids to the pool and who they interact with. So private lessons could potentially be something to be considered. A couple other items, you know, looking at different ways to program. So perhaps hockey leagues. So you're always with that same group of people. So if your hockey league is Monday and Wednesday night, and you've got 25 people or 24 people on your team, the same 24 people are mingling the whole time. And the possibility of closing on stats. The next thing, we need to continue to balance risk and resources and capacity and public demand to weigh in decisions for timelines and processes for further reopening of facilities and offering indoor programs and services. And perhaps it's a further focus on outdoor opportunities is something we might need to consider and require in coming years through partnerships or new services offered by the CVRD. Currently, we have summer camps, and they're going very well, and they're outdoors. They're utilizing the exhibition grounds, and down at the track and field of the sports center, and over at the all-weather turf, and then a little bit of time inside Arena 2 dry floor. So they've been quite popular. Staff are able to manage those high touch areas. It's going well. So that's certainly something we want to keep in our portfolio. Number 3, cost savings. Again, will be analyzed to provide a balanced budget in future years that provides accessible and efficient programs and services, potentially through a new model with processes in place that can respond to community crisis and the ever-changing community needs and embrace opportunity to promote resilience. So our community is constantly changing and constantly having different needs. That's sort of regular to the world of recreation. It's just that the pandemic has put it at high speed, full speed ahead, and maybe put it into a little bit more of a bright light for us to really get on top of that. Things that will be included is future facility maintenance planning. What is that going to look like? We're getting a lot done. Maybe we don't need to have as much done in the future because of everything that's being able to be done right now. Facilities and programs and service hours. What is that going to look like? We have 2 pool facilities and 2 sheets of ice. What will that look like in the future? And then our current program and service model. So lots of things that we need to really look at and assess that so that we can get a really good accurate gauge of how we're going to move forward, in particular in this next 5-year financial chunk from today to the next 5 years. And the fourth item, very important, to ensure the public is informed on the recreational services plan. So community engagement, we really want to make sure that we're upfront, we're transparent, and we're open with our community and with our staff on where we're going with recreation and changes that will be happening down the pipeline. And the last thing, the last slide under the summary. So lastly, but certainly not least, recreation services can continue to play an important role in the Comox Valley's renewal phase. And some things that we have is initiating a conservative, flexible, opening approach to respond to community uptake, public health directives, and fiscal prudence. B, managing operating costs by acknowledging lower revenues with levels of service delivery. C, returning services will depend on revenue and cost ratios as opening and programs are promoted, allowing adjustments as needed. D, reevaluating traditional operational models with a focus of a new registration requirement and lesson. And E, which is number 5, deferring some capital expenditures such as lighting and perhaps a sound system upgrade, and looking to see what is a requirement and what is something that can be deferred. And lastly is supporting the promotion of healthy lifestyles and invigorating community spirit through physical activity remains a priority and continues to be a catalyst for community connection. So where we're at today and where we want to be over the next 5 years, in some ways is very uncertain. And in other ways, what is certain is we know we need to be fiscally responsible. We need to ensure we can provide for our community some very good recreation, hopeful at low cost. And again, being very transparent with the community, providing as much information as we can, heads up, here's where we're going, and doing our best to keep moving recreation forwards. So on that note, I just want to say thank you. And if there's any questions.
So do we have any questions? Okay, Director Hillian.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks, Jennifer, for the report and all the work involved. I just wanted to clarify the plan to not spend money on upgrading the sound system at the Aquatic Center. Are there any safety issues related to that? I'm thinking about how when you're in a pool and you hear an announcement, you don't really know what's being said. Were the sound system improvements going to be made for safety reasons or otherwise?
It certainly could be made for certainly would be made for safety reasons. We have a current sound system in place. It's aging, it's time. However, we can certainly utilize that sound system for now, and it'll provide the safety levels that we do need.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Jennifer. Oh,
Thank you.
oh, wait a minute. Oh, Director Morin.
Great, thank you, Chair. Hi, Jennifer, thank you for the report. I was just curious if you've been in contact with any other folks around the island or province who maybe have opened up pools. I know City of Courtenay got quite a bit of flack, well, a bit of flack for closing the outdoor pool, which of course is very popular this time of year. I think regional district, the indoor pools are probably not.
Sorry, did she get cut off or is that?
I think she's frozen.
I'll turn off my video. I was just curious whether you'd heard from other folks who had open pools, because I know that there are places around the province that have opened up their pools, and just what their experience is and has been.
Through the chair, so staff are on regular weekly confabs with other recreation practitioners through Vancouver Island and also through BC. So we're able to have an opportunity to hear how other organizations are unfolding their recreation services and how it is going. On the outdoor pool front of things so far, and in particular in the Lower Mainland, that has been fairly successful. You're outdoors, your touch points are a little bit less, and you're able to manage the amount of people. You have a bigger space. Generally, outdoor pools have a much bigger deck. People are outside at the spray park, then they're back into the outdoor pool area. So those have the ones that have opened up have somewhat opened up quite successfully. Some are having to turn away swimmers because they've met the 50. So on that front, it's gone very well. On the indoor pool end of it, because of where we're at with our provincial health guidelines in respects to indoor facilities, it's proceed with caution. And at this point, there was one indoor pool that did try to open up in the Lower Mainland. And from what we've heard, it has been fairly difficult to maintain high touch areas, particularly dressing rooms, like change rooms, passing each other in the pool lanes. But they continue to try. We are hopeful that as we get into the fall, restrictions lift a little bit more and we can start looking at what our swimming pool processes will be. We have a plan in place for our facilities. It's just a matter of seeing a little more success out there for indoor pools as we get closer to further restrictions being lifted.
Great, thank you. And just another quick question. I know that you're looking at creative ideas for recreation, and I just wondered if you had reached out or had any partnerships with groups doing kind of outdoor rec, cycling, regional district trails. I know you mentioned the walking piece in your report, but I just was curious about linking in that, and also I guess in terms of even linking with economic recovery for folks, because we do have this sort of staycation intention going on, and maybe there's some opportunities for folks to combine some outdoor recreation, utilizing and our services, as well as having leisure and vacation time.
Yeah, so through the chair, in conjunction with the Active Comox Valley, staff are reaching out to pull together as many partnerships and sponsorships that we can find. Things are taking off actually quite nicely in respects to working with the Cycling Coalition, the Running Club. We currently this summer we have a grant and sponsorship with a First Nations Indigenous summer camp. So things are starting to come together. We continue to look though further out to see where else we can gain partnerships and work together. The biggest area that we're focusing on right now is working on partnerships with all of our user groups that utilize the pool and the ice arena to help them be able to come back into our facilities, because they'll be a big integral part of us getting our facilities up and running again.
That's great. Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Oh, we have a question from Director Hamir.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, my question was slightly asked by Director Moore, and it was along that line of looking at the rec services now that we've had COVID force us to maybe not so much rely on indoor spaces and to move outside. So I'm glad to hear that you're already looking at those partnerships. And I'd also like to encourage that to continue to happen. I heard that during our strategic planning that, we want rec services to not just be confined to our building assets, but to move beyond and integrate our parks and trails into an overall rec service. And I really like the idea that Director Morin has of potentially even providing some of those services to tourists who are, in the area and are not sure of where the trails are, having guided bike and whatever walking trips through the forest. I think that's a fantastic idea. So just want to put another word of encouragement for that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have two recommendations to consider this afternoon. So recommendation one is that the COVID-19 response and renewal plan for the Recreation Corps service, as included in the staff report, be approved.
Move to recommendation.
Second.
Okay. Go through the roll. Okay, we're going through the roll. Director Cole Hamilton,
In favor.
Director Hillian,
In favor?
Director Grieve,
In favor.
Director Moran,
In favor.
Director Hamir,
In favor, sorry.
Director Barber,
Yes.
Director Frisch, Director Grant, Director Kettler, and we have one.
It's trustee Sarah Jane Howe.
Oh, and Trustee Howell.
Yes.
Yes, in favor, and
Thank you.
I'm in favor as well, so it's unanimous. And moving on to recommendation 2, that the general manager of community services apply the flexibility to close or limit services in the regional district recreation facilities on statutory holidays based on financial impacts and programming opportunities.
Moved.
Second.
Okay, going through the roll. Director Cole Hamilton,
In favor.
Director Hillian,
In favor?
Director Grieve,
In favor.
Director Moran,
In favor.
Director Hamir,
In favor.
Director
Yeah.
Director Frisch,
In favor.
Director Grant,
In favor.
Director Kettler,
In favor.
Trustee Howell,
In favor.
and I'm also in favor, so that passes unanimously. Okay, shall we move?
Madam Chair, the representatives of the Junior B Glacier Kings are here, so Jennifer can introduce them and we could
Okay.
consider that item next.
Let's do that then. Okay, Jennifer?
Thank you. So through the chair, today's staff are here to update the Comox Valley Sports Commission of discussions with the Comox Valley Glacier Kings Junior B Hockey Club owners and general manager to locate an existing portable structure they recently acquired at the sports center. The locally owned and operated Glacier Kings Junior B Hockey Club is a member of the Vancouver Island Junior Hockey League and has been in the Valley for well over 20 years. The club is seeking permission to locate an existing portable structure they recently acquired onto the northeast corner of the Arena 1 of the Sports Center, the Glacier Kings Junior B Hockey Club's expense in exchange for its use during the Junior B hockey season. So Lisa, I'll let you go ahead and flip the slide. So here's the location behind Arena 1. So when you're looking right at the there we go. So when you're looking straight at the building, the photo that you have there, the Glacier Kings are looking to relocate a building that they've purchased to the right-hand side of the picture, past the red emergency doors. So in front of it, sort of into the nook there. So to give you a little bit of history, most recent, in May of 2018, the CVRD board approved entering into an agreement with the Glacier Kings for the construction of a team dressing room at the Sports Center site, and also approved that the 2018 to 2022 financial plan be amended to increase other professional fees by $25,000 as a contribution towards the construction of a dressing room by the Glacier Kings, to be funded by a transfer from the Kraft Hockeyville funds held in the Capital Works reserves. Due to the costs associated with this project, the Glacier Kings were not prepared to move forward with the construction of a team dressing room near Arena 1 at that time. As a result of the Glacier Kings Junior B Hockey Club being unable to move the project forwards, the $25,000 for the Kraft Hockeyville was subsequently reallocated to support accessibility improvements for the Sports Center facility. So I'd like to say some of it was reallocated. Now it's 2020 and the Glacier Kings are back and are looking to locate an existing portable structure that they recently acquired. So what does all this mean? So for the club, this would mean having a place to call their home, a place to work with their coaches, trainers, and store gear. It's also seen as a great recruitment tool. They are the only club in the Junior Hockey League that does not have a dressing room. The opportunity to add the team to the team atmosphere would be a source of pride for the players and show the team's commitment to the facility and the community. For the CVRD facility, this would mean that with the Glacier Kings having their own dressing room, there would tend to be more flexibility when scheduling our dressing rooms that are within our facility, which could result for us in a little bit of better customer service, having a little more space. And for the community, this would mean more hockey. Terms and conditions would need to be outlined in a detailed agreement prior to locating in this existing portable structure that they've recently acquired. So at this time, what I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce Mike Nesbitt, who is the general manager and coach of the Comox Valley Glacier Kings. So Mike, I'll have you come on over here. I'm just gonna trade you spots.
Welcome, Mike.
Thank you very much. And thanks for having me today. Like she said, I'm the new head coach and general manager of the Glacier Kings. My job is to recruit the best players in the province to come play here. It's a pretty good tool if you have your own facility to have the boys have their own dressing room, especially with this year that just came up with COVID. It's an easier way for us to sanitize their equipment because it's all hanging in the dressing room at all times. We're going to be doing the build in a two-phase build. First start in August this year, hopefully, with a weight room, dressing room, and coach's office. We've asked Jennifer for approval to use the washroom facilities of the referees room, and she's approved that. The phase 2 will start in 2022, where it'll be our own washroom and own shower facilities. I guess we'll go through the slides now. Okay, next. So here we'll show the plan that we're going to show today. Introduction's already done that. Reviewing the 3-stage plan, overview of COVID-19 measures, commitment to the health and safety. Stage 2, the business plan and the financial plan. Look at the building, the interior, proposed sites, building of the building step by step. A look who else benefits from this project. Stage 3, finances and funding and cost association. We have Iris Churchill here today, one of the owners and the Glacier Kings treasurer. The Glacier Kings have committed money away, put aside for this. Okay, next. I'm not going to go through all this today. There's a lot to read there, but the COVID, it's just better for the player safety and the staff safety. Next. The protocol transparency, established policy accordance with the CDC, et cetera, recommendations, the distribution of the policy, CRVD, Hockey Canada, BC Hockey, the VIJHL, players and their families, host families, volunteers, technical staff, and bench staff. I'm not going to go through all the COVID stuff again, but this is who it all benefits. Next, please. And this is the business plan. The revenue generation benefits who? It benefits the Glacier Kings, the CVRD, community at large, current users, camps, special rentals, rec league tournaments, accommodating special events, provincial, national tournaments. You can just see there all the type of tournaments we could host. Having a dressing room, they could use that facility as their own. The project plan step by step. Pour the foundation, install the frame building. insulation, framing for the player stalls, electrical, installation of HVAC, installation player stalls, flooring, and a breezeway connecting us to the Arena 1. Next, please. As you'll see here, there's 3 pictures. The picture on the left is the building we bought. It's a 40 by 30 by 19 building. The next picture there would be the dressing room, how it's going to be designed. There's a company in Langley that has designed those stalls for us. They'll be shipped over here. And picture number 3 is the area of the arena where we built this building. Finances, the Glacier Kings have secured funding for this. The commitment from the Glacier Kings purchase of the building, we've already purchased the building for $16,000. The reason we purchased early is because it was about a $27,000 building and I was able to secure it for $16,000. We are requesting from the CRVD $50,000 to help. And on the right side, you'll see the cost association, all the quotes I've got locally to build this building for us. And yeah, sorry, didn't show up. Now at this time, I'd like to ask if anybody has any questions.
Okay, any questions? I think Director Arbor had his hand up at some point.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for the presentation. Maybe on that last slide, I assume is the CVRD and not the CRVD, because otherwise that would mean that we're off the hook. So I'm supportive in general, Mike, of something like that. It seems to make sense. It seems to be the standard in all the other communities. I did have one question though. When you said that the building will be great for the boys, that led my mind to think, what is the status of girls hockey? Is there a league on Vancouver Island? Are there plans for the Glacier Kings to have girls hockey, or this is on the island, it's still strictly a boys sport?
Yes, there is plans in the future for hockey for girls. This is a junior hockey team, and I believe girls have their own junior league. I'm just the head coach and general manager of the Glacier Kings.
And so there's the Glacier Kings. It doesn't have a girls and a boys division. It's just boys only. Is there a girls club in the Comox Valley? I'm sorry, I'm uneducated about the status of hockey in the valley.
Thank you. My name is Iris Churchill. I'm one of the owners, the financial officer for the team. In the past, we have had female participants on our team, primarily as goalies. There is a young ladies league. I believe they play at a Campbell River, and they range in the age of 12 to 15. I think they may have some 16-year-olds. But they are not part of the Vancouver Island Junior Hockey League.
Okay, thanks so much for the information. It was out of curiosity, but also recognizing that as a country, we've done really well on the international scene with both boys and girls. So I'm hoping that we'll see a girls team in that building in the next 30 years or something. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we have questions from Director Frisch.
Yeah, thanks, Chair, and thanks, Mike, for the presentation. It's always great to see partners come forward and help us provide this recreational services. I had a question about the costing, and I didn't actually notice what the overall cost was. What was the final number you think it's going to be?
The project cost altogether with local trades came to about $92,000 approximate.
Okay. And it looks like you'll be drawing water, sewer power from the existing building.
The power will come this year. The summer of 2022 is when we would have our own stage. That gives us 2 years to build our own washroom and shower and washer and dryer facilities. Gives us 2 years to raise that money.
Right. And so the monies for the tie-ins and all the rest is separate from the 100,000 you're estimating?
That's the hydro is connected to that. Connected to that price. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting. And so, you know, I guess do you have any of the money saved up at this point?
Okay, we do have a $40,000 line of credit secured by a term deposit that's in place. And that was aside from the output of the 16,000 that we paid for the existing building.
Okay. And I guess I see that you have owners. I don't know a lot about the Hockey Association, but it's a profitable business then, and you hope to continue with that, I presume.
What we've rolled into in the last couple of years, probably the last 5 years, it's a user pay system. So we do a projected budget that includes the coaches' wages, cost of the ice, cost of running our bus, all replacements that we need. And then we determine what the players pay. And it's sometimes we make a little money depending on the number of fans we get. Otherwise, it's usually a break even.
Okay, thanks very much.
Okay, and we have a question from Director Hamir.
Thanks, Chair. This is probably more for staff. I'm just wondering that space behind the building where this proposed site is going to go, is that ever used for any type of delivery, or like what is the use of that space now?
Through the chair. So currently we do have one CCAN out back for emergency service equipment for the CVRD and the services. This portable that the Glacier Kings have purchased would fit quite well between the CCAN and the entrance onto the ice arena. Outside of that area has been primarily used by the Glacier Kings. They bring their bus back there and they unload and load up their players as they head out for their tournaments and as they come home. And shy from that, there's no other real utilization at this time for that piece.
Okay, thanks. I'm wondering about insurance. I didn't see that as a line item, or maybe I missed it. Is that something that the Glacier Kings will be covering?
Through the chair. So insurance moving forwards to any building that's going to be put on site by the Kings will be the responsibility of the Kings. And that is something that will be worked into the agreement moving forwards.
Right, thank you.
We have a question from Director Grant.
Thank you. Yeah, I get to play hockey at the unenviable hour right after your guys' games, because the older you get and the lousier you get, the later the ice times get. And so I understand the problem and the conundrums that you guys can run into. But what I'm wondering is, how shareable is that building? Like in the off season, for instance, we have the soccer group looking to do something really similar to this. I know it's not ideally located if it's behind, but could there be some use of this building for other groups in the off season or when you're not using it?
Absolutely. That's what most junior dressing rooms are used for in the off season. The top lacrosse team will come in there, use that facility. If you host a concert, bring them into a professional dressing room. Like I said in my blurb there, you can host like under 18 championships, the World Juniors. Like if like Czechoslovakia needs a facility to work out in, they could use that facility, and most cities do that.
So do you guys use it at all in the off season, or does it sit kind of empty?
The Glacier Kings and myself are looking into another summer hockey business that we would be purchasing more ice rental so I'd be using my office. There will be an office in there, but besides that, the dressing room will be wide open.
Okay, Director Hamir, your hand is still up. Do you have another question?
No, that was just from the last one.
Okay, and we have a question from Director Hillian.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm actually a hockey fan, and I've seen the Glacier Kings play, and good on you for continuing to do this. I know it's a tough operation to keep going year by year, but I'm a little bit confused, and maybe staff could help clarify. In the staff report that we received, it speaks about how any costs associated with it would be borne by the Glacier Kings. Then it says it's anticipated that the Glacier Kings will be seeking compensation for the upgrades to the sports center, and that may take the form of reduced rental rates, various other things. So I'm just wanting to clarify, we're being asked to contribute $50,000. Is that in the form of reduced rental rates or something else, or is that just a straight contribution towards the construction?
Through the chair, our understanding is from the Glacier Kings that this would be a direct contribution to the actual dressing room portable structure. In the staff report, it's indicated that there's various ways that we can potentially look at to see how we can do cost relief, but the specific request from the Glacier Kings was for directly to the portable.
Okay, it seems to, in the staff report, speak to challenges with optics of putting public money into what essentially is a private enterprise. How do we get around that?
Through the chair, in respects to moving forwards with some form of an agreement, I think some things that would be really critical is to show to the community that this is not owned 12 months of the year by the Glacier Kings, that it is shareable for other community use programs through the CVRD, lacrosse, any other soccer, any other organization. There would have to be some kind of a true partnership there in order to ensure that the perception of the optics out in the community is that this is something for everyone.
Okay, so effectively, we're being asked to make an investment in an upgrade to the facility that would primarily be used by the Glacier Kings, but could be used otherwise as a benefit for the community in general.
Through the chair, that is correct.
Thanks.
Okay. Any further questions? Okay, seeing none, this report was for information today. Thank you for that. Next steps would be, Russell?
The request of the Glacier Kings of 50,000 doesn't match Jennifer's indication of available funds. So Jennifer and the Glacier Kings will continue to negotiate and talk to that point. And if they arrive at a solution or otherwise, we will update the Sports Commission.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you for your presentation today.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, we need to vote on receipt on that. Well, I guess we don't need to vote if there's anybody that objects to receipt. Seeing none, thank you. It passes. Okay, so we're going down to the electric ice resurfacer replacement capital equipment initiative. So
Move receipt.
Second.
thank you. And we have a report. Oh, Jennifer. I was looking at Doug, but there you are. Thank you.
Thank you. Through the chair, I promise my last one for today. This presentation is provide information regarding the replacement of the propane-powered ice resurfacer to an electric ice resurfacer initiative for the CVRD's recreation facilities, Ice Arena 2 specifically. The electric ice resurfacer will create a zero emissions atmosphere, and the cost will be anywhere between 200,000 and 240, and that sort of really depends on what kind of gadgets you want on your electrical ice resurfacer, if you want a GPS or if you want just the start button. Next slide. So why electric over propane? So the electric model will improve the air quality and reduce the strain on building ventilation systems, reducing our impact on the environment and accelerating our actions to adapt and respond to the climate change impacts. So again,
Sorry, Jennifer, could you hold on a second? We're not seeing the slides.
Oh, sure.
There, got it.
Can you see it? Okay.
So why electric over propane? So the electric model, which will improve air quality and reduce strain on the building ventilation system. Something that I would like everyone to really keep in mind with this is that the Sports Center was built in 1974, opening in 75. That's for the pool and Arena 1, and then Arena 2 came on stream roughly around 1998. So again, it's still not the youngest ice arena in the province, and therefore the air handling unit is going to be an older system that will work effectively. But however, in order to ensure that we're providing the best that we can for those that use our facilities, we want to ensure we have the best air quality possible. reducing our impact on the environment and accelerating our action to adapt and respond to climate change impacts. And again, that's one of the regional district's strategic drivers is climate and environment. The current propane ice resurfacer is 12 years past its lifespan. So much like our facilities, there's a lifespan, and then if you take good care of it, you can carry on for X amount further years. So traditionally an ice resurfacer, is about 10, 12 years of age, maybe 15. Well, we are now at the 22-year mark. So our ice resurfacer is letting us know it's tired and it's ready to go to its new home in the metal recycling bin. Replacement of assets is the most cost-effective manner, including all costs and risks and performance attributes. So on this chart that we have in front of you, you can see the difference in cost when you go propane at the end of the year, you're in the 7 years, you've got about a $70,000 extra cost. And at the end of 7 years with electrical, you're at about 43. Yes, the initial purchasing cost is going to be more, but then the long-term effects, everything from sustainability and the health of those using our facilities and the costs, you can see that there will be quite a bit lower of a cost. Next slide, Lisa. So following the COVID-19 response and renewal framework for the CVRD services, so maintaining core services and affordable cost. Careful management of recreation services and assets essential to providing affordable and reliable services to the CVRD. Ice use will be a continuing priority for the community moving forwards, and the current ice resurfacer is long past its useful lifespan. It may be cheaper in the short term to purchase a propane model. However, other strategic drivers supporting low carbon initiatives are being met. The following Sports Commission strategic goals are being supported. So strategic goal number 1 again, which is the asset management outcome. The following strategic driver that is supported is climate crisis and environment stewardship and protection. Again, the outcome is a clean BC low carbon initiative. And lastly, but not least, is certainly the bylaw number 2410, which talks about maintaining ice arena, operating and maintaining ice arena and swimming pool complexes. Next slide, Lisa. And so then lastly, what are the options? Purchase an electric ice resurfacer as supported in the 2020 to 2024 financial plan for the year of 2021, with a procurement commencing in the late fall of 2020 with a delivery expected in early 2021. In light of COVID-19 and the opportunity to save some money, a propane ice resurfacer could be considered, saving approximately $50,000 for the capital improvements. However, the long-term operating costs of the propane model are considerably higher. And on that note, I would just like to say thank you and would be happy to take some questions.
Okay, so do we have any questions? I see Director Frisch.
Yeah, thanks. And so I've personally experienced a bit of operational cost savings using an electric vehicle for the last 5 years. And it is actually quite staggering. Not only the fuel, but a lot less things to go wrong. No, I don't obviously drive a Zamboni, but I imagine there are other parts that will still wear out at the regular rate. I don't know how into the weeds that is, but it's not just a motor, right? I guess there's a whole lot of stuff hanging off the back of those things, and those are still the same, I presume.
So through the chair, I'm going to introduce Cecil Vaughn, who is the manager of operations for the Sports Center, who is the brains behind electrical and propane, to give you an answer for that question.
Through the chair, thanks, Jennifer. Yeah, to your question, there are still moving parts. You got an auger system, conveyor system in the back end of the machine. You still got your drivetrain, what have you, but the engine is no longer there.
Are those the ones that are tired in the current propane version? Is the whole thing kind of done?
It's we've replaced the engine once in the unit we have now, and it's a little bit of everything right now. It's the auger system we're constantly upgrading. When it comes down to the engine, we're having problems with keeping our emissions in check right now, and that's where we're at.
Great. Well, thanks for your work on this. It's pretty exciting for me.
Thank you. Director Hermier.
Thanks for that. Thanks, Chair, and thanks to staff for that presentation. I'm supportive of moving towards electric. I just wanted to double check. Did I hear the cost difference for the purchase price is about 50,000? Is that what I heard?
Through the chair, that is correct.
Okay.
50,000.
Okay. I still think overall it's better when you're looking at the life cycle, and keeping in mind what Director Frisch just mentioned about some parts will probably need to be replaced, but I think it meets a number of our strategic drivers. And I'm just wondering if there are any grants available for moving away from propane or fossil fuel based to electric that the regional district could apply for.
Yes, there's only one current grant that's available, and it's only worth about $5,000, and that would go towards the purchase price right off the get-go.
Okay, well, 5,000 is 5,000.
Okay, thank you. Director Grant?
Thank you. So I guess a couple of questions. The math that I'm doing shows that you could in fact have about $110,000 difference between the two units. If you did it that way with a 27,000 operating cost, that would be like an $80,000 difference, which kind of makes me think quite a bit about this. And so I'd like to, if the numbers were tighter, it would make more sense to me. But the real question is, does it work? Zambonis are really integral for hockey, as you know, and any kind of skating you're doing out there. And if the product sucks, then the ice sucks, and that's no good for anybody. So, I don't know. I mean, we know the tried and true, but we don't know the new. So does it work? Is it going to be the same quality, or do we know, or are we hoping it will be?
So through the chair, yes, I've actually experienced work with the electric machine from a past employer that I was with. And we purchased one probably about 7-8 years ago. The only thing that has changed is the battery technology, which has actually improved to the lithium ion. But as far as the machine quality and how the machine performs, it's identical to the propane machine. It's just got a different powering system.
So I guess my other question is about the cost, because I can see like you're kind of saying 50, but it could be 110. And those numbers are significantly different. Like, we must be able to get a better cost estimate than $110,000 difference, possibly, or maybe not.
Through the chair, I think the cost range that's been provided is coming from a basic model in electrical to a top end model in electrical, and then the same with the propane. So I'm certainly we can get those numbers cinched up, quite a bit better, certainly.
It would be much easier to support if we knew a little better, closer. Like $80,000 kind of makes me go, it's not making sense to me at that. But if that can get closed down a bit, then perhaps you could get me on board.
Certainly, our manager of operations can certainly pull together some other numbers.
Okay, and we have a question from Director Arbor.
Yeah, thanks. Just following in Dr. Grant's comments, I think it's important to note my internet is unstable. Hopefully you can hear me. Yeah, I think it's important to know that we're definitely not first movers in the Comox Valley with an electric ice resurfacer. Port McNeil got one about 4 years ago. They're pretty pleased with it. North Cowichan has one. So we're not breaking new ground in terms of assessing the benefits of utilizing that. So I'm in full support. And in terms of the price cost, I do agree that there's probably not a ton of control around price quotes, but like buying a car. So I guess it becomes a value decision by the board as to whether we want to back our climate agenda and provide better air quality inside our arena, or whether we want to belong to the 1970s. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have Director Hillian.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks for the presentation. Pardon my ignorance, but are we allowed to sell advertising?
Through the chair, yes, we are.
So, and do we have advertising? Do we offer it up to local merchants that when the Zamboni goes around cleaning the ice between periods, that, we can run ads on it and raise some revenue?
Through the chair, yes, we do. Yes, we have, and yes, we do. And my apologies, I can't recall the latest advertising, but perhaps our manager of operations can.
Well, do we make any money on it, such as that this is actually a revenue generator as well as a functional piece of equipment?
Through the chair, from what we understand, the Zamboni gets wrapped. A Zamboni wrap is about $5,000. So for us, the revenue that we receive is once you've wrapped the Zamboni, we request X amount per day or per time per use. So we do get some funding off of there. Is it substantial? No. Where do we make a better dollar is the advertising around the rink boards and up on the walls.
Right. Well, the only other thing I have to suggest is that I think there's thousands of kids out there who would love to ride a Zamboni, and I think we could make a few bucks giving Zamboni rides as well as any other ventures that bring us some revenue.
Through the chair, we offer Zamboni rides.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, thanks for the suggestion, Director Hillian. Okay, and Director Cole-Hamilton.
Thank you very much, Chair. I guess I have some sympathy for Director Grant's comment that the ranges are fairly wide on the purchase prices. So but it seems that taking a mid-range that we're likely to break even and or save to some degree over the life cycle of an electric ice resurfacer. Is that roughly the math that you've done just on a strict dollars and cents level?
Through the chair, as Jennifer alluded to earlier, is they have given us a broad range because, as she mentioned, and we kind of laughed about, whether you want a GPS on it, it's not actually a joke. You can actually get these things to the point where I can be in Ontario and know how much water my machine is putting on the ice in the Comox Valley. That's how technical it's getting now. And so what they've done is they've given us a large range, and everything from ice levelers, where your machine has a little radar thing that sticks up that will adjust your blade as you cut to keep your ice flat and level. The sky's the limit with the new technology. So that's why we've put it as high as we have. Yes, we can close that gap if we go to more of a base model, which will sufficiently do the job, depending on the technologies we want to go to.
Okay, well, thanks for clarifying that. And I mentioned for those viewing at home, I don't think we're planning on getting the GPS or Apple CarPlay or anything else on our Zamboni. We'll probably go for the more basic model. I think given that it seems to be somewhat of a wash over the life cycle, it's hard to entirely say given the ranges we have, but it seems to be roughly a wash is what I'm hearing between the two varieties. I think setting a good example, and I think sparking people's curiosity about the possibilities for electric vehicles. And I know you said that there are health benefits because although our air handling system does do what it can to remove as much of the exhaust from propane, I can only imagine, I don't know if we have studies on this, that in a facility where people are breathing deeply and exercising hard, that not to be breathing exhaust while you're doing that, especially if you're, say, the Glacier Kings and in that building a lot, has an intangible value, which to me just tips the scales in favor of the electric unit. So thanks for the research. This has been a really interesting and informative, and I'll be supporting the very basic electric model. Thanks.
Okay, and Director Grieve.
Thank you very much. Just in light of keeping all our options open, do they still make horse-drawn Zambonis, or in this case, maybe water buffalo drawn?
Through the chair, I don't think so.
Okay. Do you have another question, Director Green? No. Okay, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we could move to the recommendation. We have to vote on receipt. Any objection, any opposition to receipt? No?
Move the recommendation.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, that the purchase of an electric ice resurfacer continue to be supported for early 2021. And I'll do the roll. Director Cole Hamilton,
In favor?
Director Hillian,
In favor?
Director Grieve,
In favor.
Director Moran,
In favor?
Director Hamir,
In favor.
Director Arbor,
Yeah,
Director Frisch,
In favor.
Director Grant,
If they can get the, they're all in favor.
Director Kettler,
In favor.
and I'm in favor. So that motion passes. Oh, then trustee, I'm sorry, trustee Hall, I can't see you on the monitor. So
That's okay. I'm in favor.
thank you. Okay, so that motion passes, and I think we're moving for termination.
Nation.
Second.
Thank you.